Hey, Rix, do you move the camera? Is that something that I do?
I think the remote is there.
Okay. So there's prospecting and there's marketing. This is your lead funnel here. Lead generation up here. We generate leads in a variety of different ways. When we capture them, where do they go? If we get a lead, we just write it on a sticky note and leave it on our desk? Yeah, it goes into our database. And you guys are probably set up on Command, maybe something else. Who's using Command for their database? Who's using a database? So, what? Yeah. Boomtown, Chime. I use something called Follow Up Boss. Oh yeah, I love it. Where Boomtown is kind of like an all-in-one solution. It's your IDX, it's your CRM. You probably even manage transactions through Boomtown potentially. I don't know. I don't have any experience with Chime, but yeah, I just use Follow Up Boss. It is separate from my IDX, like my search website that we generate leads through. But any database that you actually use is going to be a good one. So it's not necessarily about, all right, what database am I on? Is Follow Up Boss better than Command or vice versa? It's like, just use whatever, just use one of them. If you don't use it, then you're not going to work out anyways. So like, get some systems. So when we do generate the leads, we have somewhere to put them. When I was some of your age in the business, a couple months in, title companies, they'll bring around like little desktop calendars. You know what I'm talking about? That was my database. It was horrible. Like it did not work. Like one of the few leads that I had written on desktop calendar, and like competing title companies, they would just like walk through, how people kind of walk through the office trying to like meet agents or whatever. One of them came and took my old calendar and from a competing title company and like put his title company calendar and like, oh shoot, where's my one lead? Oh, it's in the garbage. Like, so I had to go dig it out of the garbage because I just literally, this was 14 years ago, so I just didn't even have a database available to me, and I'm just writing things on sticky notes and on a desktop calendar. Just made no sense whatsoever. Got to track our leads. The people on my team, there's a direct correlation to who sells how many houses and how much time they spend in their database. 100%. And the more time a person is in there calling, generating leads, nurturing leads, communicating with our database, they just simply sell more houses. So if you want to sell more houses, just get in a really good place with your database and nurture it, communicate with it, update the contact info, make sure you have the email addresses, phone numbers, they're hearing from you. It's set up on a 33 touch. I'm sure the Wild team does a great job, the Sign team does a great job. If you're a solo agent, just figure out some way to communicate and with them. Call them, email them, text message them, do events, stuff like that. Robert.
Do you use a different database than
I do, yeah. It's called Follow Up Boss.
And does that's basically, I'm assuming that you're taking prospecting stuff, and once they become clients, then it gets transferred back over to you.
I should probably stop recording. I don't use command. Like I would if I was 2 months in, I absolutely would be using command because I probably like, I mean, it's paid for and it works and it's free and it probably works great for you. I have just been on Follow a Boss long before command ever existed. So it was too difficult for me to just abandon ship and go with command when I was just so used to this other thing. So like I said, they're all going to work if you just have to, they're not going to magically like take care of things without some effort on your part. Boy, this is okay. I'm going to stay in my lane and not jump into Follow a Boss, but I might later if it seems like it's going to make sense. Okay, they call it the 2 M's. Man, I really need the one that has like the instructor prompts on what to discuss on these slides. Let me see if I can find that. Sorry, guys. Oh, there we go. Oops. All right, lead generation is taking a message and using a method to drive that message to a desired audience. We call the message and method of your lead generation the 2 M's. Message needs to match your market and make an offer for immediate response. Anybody ever heard the acronym MOFIR? So just keep that in mind. Anytime you're doing an email campaign, Facebook or social media campaign, a text message, I mean, it's down here, I'm not going to write it off, or immediate response. Get them to take some action. Call us. Few lots available. Click here. You just something where you're not giving them all of the information, like you're giving them a reason to need to call you to get like the information on that one lot that's still left, or this new listing that just hit the market in Vineyard where there's literally nothing for sale. I saw something on social media this week. Colby, if you guys know Colby Kerr in our office, I saw a sponsored ad on social media. Like it was a new listing of his in Vineyard and there's virtually nothing for sale. So he's got it posted on, I don't know, you probably saw it on either Facebook or Instagram. And he had a great offer for immediate response. You know, click here button for more information about the townhome, whatever it was. He's getting a bunch of leads off it. Be prospecting based. So when we talk about prospecting versus marketing, like what comes to your mind? Like what's the difference? And why might one, if you're a newer agent, why might one make more sense than the other, Rob?
Well, marketing is usually where you are sending out a message you don't know. I see prospecting more as contacting the people that you have met before, talked to before.
Okay,
That's where I draw the distinction.
great. Thanks for that, Rodney. Yeah. When I was brand new, did I have a budget to be sending out $1,000 postcard? No. Barely do now. 15 years later. Just kidding. So I think a lot of newer agents might be more geared towards lead generation as opposed to marketing. Gary Keller talks about we are a like a marketing, prospecting based, marketing enhanced company. Like that's how you're going to be most successful, by being prospecting based, enhanced by some marketing and a 33 touch. Just as an example, probably my third year in the business, like when I actually started having a little bit of success, the first 2 years were pretty hit and miss. I did two houses my first year, one house my second year, kind of halfway in, halfway out of the business. Came to Keller Williams in 2009, got a mentor, really started to figure things out. At the time, were there a lot of expired listings? Would you imagine, say in 2000? Tons and tons of expired listings. Were there any for sale by owners that were having a hard time getting their house sold in 2009? Everybody was having a hard time. Did you own a house at that time, Matt? What were happening with home values?
We saw a spike in values go up all the way to about start of 2007, then all of a sudden just started coming down. But at the same time, they had reason for it. But prices that like were not coming down again, and very strange. And you just kind of
And a lot of people really didn't have a choice though, losing their homes. Short sales, foreclosures, laid off. They had adjustable rate mortgages that they adjusted and they can no longer afford the payment. A lot of very different market than we're at now. There was endless amounts of lead generation that could be done at that point in time. There is today. It's just a little different today than it was back then. Rodney, you're rookie of the month. Those lines I saw. Where's most of your business coming from? Friends? Okay. Are you having to work hard to dig that up?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I just have a really small sphere of influence, and I've only sold one house out of it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I send out a monthly email, and then on the first of the month, the 15th of the month, I send out a postcard. I can forward it to 25 people. So
okay.
But yeah, and then Facebook and Instagram.
That's great.
Do as many open houses as I can.
Open houses. Absolutely. And you're putting them into your database to communicate with them systematically. Marketing is more of a long-term play, because if I'm like working on creating that top of mind awareness with my people who know me, does it happen instantly right off the bat? All the time? No, not really. It takes some, like they know agents, they know 5 realtors already. If I'm like just showing up on the scene and letting them know that I'm a realtor now, am I automatically at the top of their list? I might be, but not necessarily. So some of that does the marketing aspect of it does take a little bit of time, where the prospecting side of things, if I'm calling for sell by owners or expired listings, like they might want to sell today, right? So that's kind of one of the differences is it can potentially be more now business if you're talking to 50 people a day that you don't already know, and you're digging through some dirt to look for that one diamond, that one who is ready. And whether you know them or not, like I mean, there's 6,000 names in our database. Do I know every one of them? Not even close. But there's an endless amount of people over time that I've collected that I can call to lead generate for business. The time is best spent obviously calling people who like me, know me, trust me, and especially that we've worked already in the past. Matt? Yeah.
You're top of mind to them. So that's the power of, let's say, marketing is just kind of keeps your name, your logo, whatever, fresh to them. Once in a while.
Yeah.
Prospect, that's like the one-on-one. That's like people in actually talking to somebody. They might see your name and be like, oh yeah, I did it. It just helps companies,
Yeah. As an example of that, this happened to me just yesterday. There's been a name in our database for 4 years. It like re-showed up. It's never been assigned to me. It's been assigned to a team member. He showed up yesterday again. He like clicked on us through Zillow. Like we don't even advertise on Zillow. Like I'm on the roster on Zillow along with 1 billion other agents. So he went scrolling through there and he sent a message that says, I want to talk to Dan Kennedy. So the person in Follow Up Boss to whom he was assigned gets the message. It's like, all right, this guy wants to talk to Dan. He says he knows you, Dan. I'm like, I don't know the name at all. Like, just like a super common name that, you know, there's probably 100 Jake Hansons in Utah County or more. But so he's in our database. He reached out. He probably sees emails from us. Has not been getting phone calls from the person to whom he's been assigned for 4 years. But it's somehow, some way, shape, or form, he has like known who we are. And like he did grow up down the street from me. I just forgot who he was.
You know, marketing is one of those words that it's all encompassing, and it does kind of cover prospecting really, but for the most part, you know, I try to keep it where if I'm marketing, it's usually to someone that I haven't met, and the objective is to try to get them to raise their hand and say, oh, I'm thinking of selling, or I'm thinking of buying in the near future, and then get their contact information back, you know, and at that point then start to tailor your message for their specific situation. But the SOI, there may be people in there that aren't even thinking about selling for the next 10 years or whatever, but you want to keep in touch with them because they don't always reach out and call you.
Absolutely.
So you got to kind of remind them, hey, I'm in the business, you know, and just want to kind of give you an update what's happening with the market. Can you think of anyone that's maybe?
How often do you call your people, Rob?
What?
How often do you call your people?
Not near enough here, and part of that is because software I'm using just is not really, in my opinion, set up to do that. When I first got in the business back in 1985, I was in commercial real estate. I was the only agent that had a computer on his desk. And I brought in my little Compact Plus, which is like a suitcase, and put it up there, and we're looking at me like, what is he doing? He's spending a lot of time on that thing, you know. But I had a database on there that you know, I just put all the clients in, and it's always, you had to like, when do I need to talk to this person next before you could close the file? And so it's always setting up your tickler file, telling you who you need to call and call back and stuff like that. And it was amazing here.
It was high tech for 1985, I'm sure. Now you just think about it, it's a joke because things have changed so much.
But to tell you the truth, I haven't found one. And I know there's stuff like Mojo out there and things like that that will kind of do that stuff. But Mojo is more, again, for approaching people for the first time, I think.
And Mojo, if you don't know, is a dialer, right? An automated dialer where you upload and if you're getting serious about like hardcore lead generation, you absolutely need a dialer and a headset, just so you're not manually like dialing a phone number, but you're calling 3 to 8 lines at once, and it's just going through a database, and 3 or 8 lines are ringing, and then, you know, somebody picks up and it patches the call through to you. If you're going to hit 50 people a day, a dialer would be a key piece of equipment in your tool belt for sure. What's that? Okay. He's probably the hardest core lead prospector in our office that I'm aware of, Brandon. And is he doing for Subway owners probably? Like everything? Circle prospecting?
day expires the max?
For me, like when I started out in the business, about 90% of my time was spent on for sell by owners and expireds. And 10% of my time was people I already knew. This equaled 60% of my closings, and this equaled 40% of my closings. So it didn't take a genius to figure out. I'm not saying don't do for sale by owners and expireds, but where's your time best spent? Like who are you speaking to that has the highest probability of liking you and trusting you to buy or sell a house? It's your SOI. Plus, they don't have 100 people calling them a week. Like I said, don't mistake that as Dan Kennedy taught the lead generation or the prospecting class, and he said, don't prospect. That's not what I'm saying. Choose wisely where you're deciding to spend your time. Lead prospecting is great to find out people you don't know. I didn't come up with 6,000 names in my database overnight from not talking to people that we don't already know, right? You've got to talk to people and do some prospecting and lead generating in areas that unless you have an SOI that is large enough that you can just focus on it and never meet anybody else other than through referrals. If not, then yeah, you're going to need to find some ways to meet people that you don't already know. For us right now, like 70% of our business every year pretty much comes from SOI or SOI referred deals. So 30% is sources that we don't already know them. Could be internet, could be open houses, could be door knocking, those things that we're going to get into. And another thing, like if you are solely prospecting based, what happens to your business when you stop making phone calls? Yeah, like they're not calling you. For sell by owners are not calling you to list their house. Like you are going to them. When you have a really like sufficient SOI that you're working hard, they call you to list your house. Rob, Matt, they call you eventually when you've created that top of mind awareness and you have that momentum, and it's enhanced by it's marketing based, prospecting enhanced. And that's something that can keep going and going and going if you're doing it right. And you can potentially stop making calls for a month and you're still going to get them coming back to you. Whereas if you're strictly prospecting based, you stop calling, your deals stop coming. Here's a bunch of different prospecting methods. Let's talk about them. Phone or face-to-face. Listings without agency. Okay, I think that's just like potential sellers that don't already have a listing agreement in place with somebody else for sell by owners and expireds. Circle prospecting, when we say that, do you guys know what we mean by circle prospecting? What comes to mind? What might that be, circle prospecting? Tristan? Maybe. I think when you hear, for me, circle prospecting is geographic. It's on the phone, ideally with a dialer, where you're uploading a list of names and numbers into the dialer, and you're just making calls around a new listing or something that just sold. If I'm doing circle prospecting, which I don't do a ton of, what am I calling around? What's the highest level of credibility to call around? Something you just sold. Sure, or your own house if you want to call your neighbors. But yes, Tristan, if I'm calling and I'm doing circle prospect, it doesn't have to be my cell. It could be somebody in the office's cell. Hey, it's Steve at Keller Williams. We just sold a house for $700,000 down the street. Market's obviously red hot. What's the dollar amount that Like if somebody offered you on your house right now, you would actually pull the trigger on and sell it. Have that conversation with 50 people. You will be setting appointments, Mariah. That is a great question. Title companies can pull up a list for you through the office. I don't think we subscribe to it anymore. It's called Cole's directory. Like you log in and pull a bunch of names.
That used to be the standard. And
Yeah.
it got so dated because
Yeah, mostly pulling up probably landlines, which there are not a whole lot of these days. I use a service called X. They happen to be based here in Orem, Real Estate Data Exchange down by Sleepy Ridge, kind of. They're really popular in the real estate. They pull up, you can pull up a geographic list of, it's just like using the MLS, like app search on the MLS. You drop some points or do a polygon search and you around a block or whatever the dimensions or locations you're looking at, and then it'll pull up a list for you. Then
they're good for just general geographic areas.
yeah, they didn't used to be, but they do geo leads now.
They have if you look at the MLS, there's one called
Remine, same thing as Remine.
I tried them for a while, and I like the concept because it actually started by organizations are used to it. But it's pulled up a map. It's got every single property on there, and you can find what you want.
Yeah.
Information.
Yeah.
The address, and the contact information, but they bought the home. What
Yeah.
it was, and, what the probability that they still have, balance due, and they've owned it. It just
Right, you can sort it by, all right, I want to pull up a list of people who have owned their home for more than 5 years, but less than 10 years. Or in this neighborhood, these criteria are probably most likely to sell. That's what the list I want. Now, Remine, it is pricey. I want to say like for that level, it's probably like $1,500 a year, something like that.
Yeah, it's very pricey when I bought it. I didn't keep it because it's designed for people that are going to be committed to doing prospecting consistently.
Yeah.
And you're going like, gee, I don't have time to do it for 2 months, and that's
Yeah.
$1,000 out of my pocket here. So, but there's a couple of databases out there that have that type of stuff.
Yeah, if you're looking for material to be calling, I definitely would look into RedX. They do all of them. For sale by owners, expireds, geo leads, a notice of default. There's something else that I'm blanking on. So circle prospecting, neighborhoods, apartment complexes. Why might you circle prospect an apartment complex? Yeah, they turn over a lot. Maybe some of those people need to be buying their first house this year. Hunter, tell us about how you hooked up with the neighbor. Like, did you do anything to dig that up, or was it just like
that one? I'll be honest, it just kind of got
fell in your lap?
Yeah, because we were putting the for sale sign up. I was literally there, and the neighbor walked over and started talking to us, and then we just worked out a deal with them. So that one was just being in the right place at the right time. But, it took work to. I'm consistently in contact with this client of mine. His name's Jim. Over the last year, ever since I got my license, I've been in contact with him, and I was in real estate and consistently staying in contact with him. He messaged me and said, "Hey, we saw a house. You want to go through it? $1.7 million. So hit me up. Got that under contract, listed his home company. So just like staying consistent. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned. Is you just gotta stay consistent.
That's awesome.
Everyone just knows you're in it, and also it's like I know I got really nervous in the beginning about being like pushy on people. Like, hey, I'm in real estate. I want to start your house. But you just gotta come from a place of adding value. Just, hey, just want to let you know how the market's going. Want to stay top of mind. That's all it is. It's not begging for people's business, but at the end of the day, too, people want to work with you if they want to work with you. So just trying to add as much value as possible.
Absolutely. Community outreach, way to meet people and do like an alternative form of lead generation. Is anybody here like involved in any sort of community organizations, where you meet people through PTA, coaches, coaching a team, anything like that? Good. So are you dealing with the community or are you dealing with other agents?
Both, actually, so the one thing we did last year was, did a park making up, and it was probably half UCAR, and then Squire, and then a boys club, and there were several different groups that got together and did that. So.
I am pretty like, I'm not highly social, I guess, but I do talk to people once in a while. And I coached one of my son's teams this past year, I don't know, like flag football or something like that. And so that's actually a decent way to meet people who live in the community. And so at the end of the year, it's like, all right, we had a fun team. The kids all like each other. We had a great season. Kids learned a lot. Let's have a little team party. So we have like a pizza party at my house. We watch Monday Night Football. The parents are like, oh, let me Venmo you some money. I'm like, no, compliments of Dan Kennedy Real Estate, something like that. And so the dad's like, oh, you're a realtor. And he wrote me a really nice handwritten card. He's like, thank you so much. You helped my son so much this season. He had a great experience. I would never use anybody but you next time we sell or buy a house. Like, I'm so glad to know you're a realtor. It's like, all right, sweet. Now, is he going to use me if he sells? Who knows? At least he says he is, and it's a great way, kind of along these same lines, get involved with something where you're meeting people that you don't already know and like adding value to their life in some way, shape, or form, and like having an influence, having an impact on the community. And I'm sure if you think about your life, you can pinpoint some areas where like you can get involved at a higher level. That's really what real estate is all about, just like having an impact on people, gaining their trust, making sure that they think of you next time they think of real estate. Key relationships with corporations, builders, banks, third-party data, investors. Just rack your brain and think about, who do I know? What can I get involved in? My wife has like this little fitness group thing. Like they have a shop downtown where they go and do jazzercise in the mornings. So there's like 13 or 15 instructors that she's pretty tight with. And just this past week, like she's been doing it for 4 years and I have not networked with these people at all. Well, I guess the owner I have. But I could do a better job of networking with all those ladies who teach jazzercise with my wife because they're going to buy or sell houses. And not just because of that, but I just want to be available to them. So the owner of the company or the franchise, she did think of me because they just moved from one location to another. She's reached out and she's like, Dan, do you do commercial real estate? I said, I don't, but my buddy Randy Park in the office does. And so I set her up with Randy. I don't know if you guys know Randy. Commercial business opportunities. It's this guy right. Oh, where did I just saw him? Right here. Doesn't he look like somebody who would be good at commercial real estate right there? Silver hair, smile. He knows like every business person in the community, I swear. Set the jazzercise gal up with Randy. He found him a lease on a better space. I checked in with her. I'm like, hey, how did things go with Randy? She said it was awesome. Still waiting for that referral to show up. It was like a month ago that they closed. Anyways. So think about that. Like, who do I know? Like, what can I do to like get a little bit more involved, get out of my shell, meet some new people? Teaching, speaking opportunities, meals, door-to-door canvassing. I think this is super underrated, booths and kiosks. This is something that I need to do more of. And it's a great lead generation tool. Anytime there is a home show, an expo, Spanish Fork parade thing. Like they do all their little shops there downtown for the Fiesta days. I need to be getting a booth there. I need to be offering free home valuations. I need to have something of value to give away as a drawing where people fill out a form and on a little sheet of paper, and then they slide it in the box to win the drill or the Traeger or whatever it is. And I bet if I did that for a week of Fiesta days, how many people walking through there would fill out a little slip of paper to win a Traeger grill? 1,000 people, probably. That's 1,000 people that I can add to my database and start like communicating to. Are all 1,000 of them going to sell or buy a house with me ever? No, maybe 1 or 2 if I was lucky. But it's a way to like, outside of the box type of thinking to get people information and start marketing to them. My coach keeps hounding me on this. I've got to get a booth set up so I can start doing those things. I have a very small degree, but there's certainly room for improvement. I don't know what walk-ins means. What does that sound like to you guys? Okay.
They used to have what was called
Floor time?
Yeah, and the agents, they would advertise and people would call into the brokerage and they sign.
Yeah, you think then Hunter's not here, but I think I still see it at Berkshire Hathaway. Like it's not the agent's number on the for sale sign. It's the company's. And when that phone rings, like it's all going to one phone and agents take turns doing the floor time. So like archaic, I don't know if it's still happening. I doubt it, but
Now the closest. Somebody is outside.
What kind of, if you work for Edge Homes or something like that.
sure.
They call Edge Homes and they give out amongst the.
Right. Deep dive prospecting methods. Let's see what we've got here. Yo.
You ever thought about doing like an advertisement for your team, like at Maple Mountain?
Yeah, every time I take my kid to a junior jazz game at Spanish Fork High, I'm like, why do I not have my banner on the wall up there? I did a few years ago, but like, no. With that being said, just because something didn't come from it that one time, it's so impossible to quantify. Like, what does that electrical company? How are they? Whose banner is up there? Like, how are they tracking? Like, what good that's? It's impossible to track. With that being said, you do it enough, and you have enough of a presence in the community, it's going to start working.
Unless you have a specific phone number that's
Possibly, yeah.
dedicated to that ad, assigned to that ad.
Sure.
Which people will do here. The problem is that, I used to do some coaching. I had one guy that was like, he was all convinced he was going to spend $15,000 to put up a sign on the freeway. That was going to generate a lot of business for him. And another guy was thinking that, well, I'm going to put up 5,000 postcards, and that's going to generate all this business for him. And I said, so what happens if all 5,000 people respond? He goes, well, I couldn't handle it. So what if nobody responds? He goes, then I'm broke. Well, so why don't you try testing it? Instead of doing 5,000, let's do 200. What type of response you're getting off your message? If the message is more important, in my opinion, than the contact message.
If you ever travel south at the Spanish Fork Highway 6 exit, there's a brokerage who does quite a bit of advertising on that one. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Berkshire Hathaway. So they've always, I love seeing it. I love seeing real estate companies billboards other than the green ones, So they've always got their top producers for the week or for the month at that exit. And I just think it's a great, I don't know how much that costs, like $1 through Blip, like $1, kind of like what Rob was saying, just kind of red light, green light, as we read in the MREA. Test things, spend some money on it, track it, see if it's working, then you can spend some more on it. But I think that's a great way that they're doing something like that. Based, marketing enhanced. Does door knocking cost money?
Maybe to print out flyers.
Yeah, if that, a hanger or a flyer, tiny amount of money. But that's like the freest way, is freest a word? The least expensive way to meet people. Are they always gonna love to see you there on your door? No. Are you gonna sell houses from it? Yeah, if you do it. Who here is door knocked? Tristan, Matt, have you ever door knocked? How'd it go?
Great, actually, every time I've done that, so there's always, but sometimes it leads to a transaction, whether it's a buy or sell. So I highly encourage them.
It's actually better than cold calling because people.
Way
always
better.
know.
Well, it gets your face and you can actually talk to you, build up a relationship.
You can speak to more people on the phone, but the quality of a conversation that you're able to have in person is quite a bit higher quality on the doorstep. I don't know why I don't do it more than I do.
I tell you, because it's time consuming. You know, and not everybody's gonna be home. And you sit there thinking like, is there always some way I can be better spending my time?
With the limited amount of door knocking I've done in my career, I bet I have gotten a listing for every 3 times I've gone out and knocked doors,
But the
which is not many. Is a listing worth 3 2-hour sessions of knocking doors in a community? Would you knock 6 hours of doors to get 1 listing?
Oh, yeah.
Say yes. Yeah. How much is a listing going to put in your pocket? 10 grand, 18 grand? Like, who knows?
6 grand,
6 grand?
$1,000 per hour.
Well, you figure that 1 out of every 6 people are thinking about selling.
Right.
And based on the number of contacts, you ought to be tracking to see, you know, what type of response you're getting.
The best door knockers turn it into a game. They know their numbers. They know if I knock X amount of hours and do it the right way, I'm going to speak to X amount of people. For every X amount of people I speak to, I'm going to have, you know, X amount of deals coming from it. If you're not afraid of getting out there and speaking to people, door knocking is an amazing way to get off the ground in your real estate business.
Especially if you're doing like a farm area or geographic area.
Correct.
It's going to hit over and over and over again.
Just keep pounding it.
Because what you want to do, again, is give them something of value. They used to call them fair trade items. Now they call them lead magnets. In exchange for their contact information. So if they'll give you your email address and your phone number, whatever you're giving them, then that's a positive right there. Put that in your database, and now I can follow it up automatically. And I'm not wasting that time.
I don't know if there's a farming class. There probably is in Ignite. But farming could be an amazing way to go. Super cheap. It's incredibly effective. And if I was starting from scratch as an agent, I 100% would be like staking my claim on a farm and like really, really digging into there and becoming the neighborhood expert. Agent to agent referrals. How do we do that? Has anybody ever been to family reunion? Are there people out there, Matt, trying to meet other agents?
Absolutely. That's the ideal place to get your name out there, the biz out there. You're looking at
Social media?
and social media and what people get referrals. I've gotten some referrals from just, I don't know, getting to know people and say,
Yeah.
pretty cool. So
So when these agents are thinking Utah, I've got somebody there. Oh yeah, that guy Matt, I met him. He's pretty cool. He'll do a great job for them. I don't get a ton of new or agent referrals. We did track like 4 or 5 last year. I'd have to double check, which was the highest I've ever done in a single year, or my team has done in a single year. I'm not super like intentional about it, but randomly over time, like I've gotten on somebody's radar somehow and get a few here and there. Open houses, once again, along with a way that is incredibly inexpensive to meet people who are in the market to potentially buy or sell a house. I think of the bold law, what you focus on expands. A couple years ago as a team, we kind of started putting into place some systems to get serious about doing open houses on our listings. Depending on the person's frame of mind who was doing the open house, we typically got absolutely nothing from it. An agent joins us this past summer. I swear she did 3 open houses and she has closed 2 deals from the 3 open houses. It's not anything she magically said. It's what you focus on expands. She goes into those open houses with the intention of, I am going to find somebody to sell or buy a house to. And it works for her. How do we social? Just shamelessly promote ourselves on real estate 24/7. That's fun to observe, right? On your feed. Wrong, right? Matt?
Well, I think the system is probably the number one thing that's consistent with whatever you're putting out there. However, it just depends on your social media is supposed to be about you as a person, not necessarily just your business. If you want them, I feel like there's more success because not everybody wants to see ads. You know, when you see that, I don't know, you watch the show, right? An ad pop up, it's like, okay, skip it, move forward. Same. Want to always see just the ads. Like they want to get to know you, and that's kind of on social media. There's a reason why they're your friend on social media.
So what's this? 20 and 80. 20% of our posts should be business. 80% should be, hey, I'm a real person. This is me. I like cars. I like travel. I like my dog. I like to go fishing. And yeah, sprinkle some real estate in there as well. But it's when it's 100% real estate. Here's my business. Here's my listing. Here's me at an open house. Here's me at this. Here's another selfie of me with a quote, that's fine, but you just don't go overboard and you're going to turn people off. And making the personal stuff like connecting with people, and people are kind of going away from Facebook, right? Is that a true statement? Younger people are. Caden, are you on Facebook? Are you on Instagram? What are you more involved in? Which platform?
100%. I think especially just because like my target audience is people who are my age, like so that's what they're going to use on Instagram. Like it's really not on Facebook that much.
Seems to me like the younger they are now, the more they're on Instagram and TikTok.
100%.
Because like my daughter, she's 20 now, and she's barely ever even posted.
Is there ever a post on Facebook that is not a meme or something shared or a photo? Like there's no conversations anymore, really. It's at least from my observations, and people are just tired of the same old stuff on there. And I definitely people are going towards other platforms.
Well, it's interesting because what happens in marketing is something will eventually work. Okay. I mean, when I'm not trying to go out to trying to target for specific people, and I'm trying to give them something that will, grab them, and they'll respond back to me to let me know that they can buy or selling. most of the stuff that we've done in the past has been scripting, learning how to handle those people, and if you don't have that down, a lot of this marketing isn't going to work for you because you're not going to know what to do with it.
Right.
But for the most part, if you can focus on something that you're doing over and over and over again, hitting the type of people over and over, you're not doing this gun shot approach where you're just hoping we're going to do a broad thing and hope we hit something that's going to respond. What you're usually doing in marketing is you're getting a lead magnet. The biggest lead magnet you can have is if you advertise one of your listings, then people that are interested in buying might contact you, and that then starts the relationship. But you've got to give them something that they want. It's not just a matter of throwing anything out there.
With that being said, throwing stuff out there, you are imprinting on their mind that Caden is a realtor. I might not be buying or selling a house right now, but when a friend of yours sees your stuff, whatever the platform is, time and time again, and you do it in a good way, then when next time they think of you, or when it is time for them, you can have a shot at earning their business because you've created the top of mind awareness. It's really hard to track.
One thing I kind of started to do just because, I'm only. Yeah. So what I started to do, I'll post maybe like once a week just with something about my team or something we have coming up. But then I find like a good deal that has like no competition. I'll post something and be like, who wants this for $1,700 a month or something? Instead of seeing a purchase price, they're like, oh, I can actually maybe afford this. I've been getting more interest.
That's awesome. I forgot your dad and me are like the same age or something. That was discovered recently. That's awesome. Okay, let's backtrack a minute. Ways to stand out at an open house. Host a speaker. Ooh, that's knocking it out of the park. I mean, getting a speaker to come to an open house, like, wow. If you can pull that off, I applaud you. Open houses right now, are they going to, in the next month, are going to become more or less effective? More, just because the insatiable demand for buyers who are so incredibly desperate to get into a house, and they should have done it 3 years ago or whatever. Open houses are absolutely when the market is as insanely white hot as it is right now.
I could offer gifts. Now I just accept gifts.
They're begging you to accept their offer.
Is there a rule against that? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, again, but the key to it is free concept. I don't give them a free gift unless I'm getting their contact information back.
What, you're gonna say don't touch the cookies or water bottle? You didn't sign in?
I mean, cookies and water bottles are fine here, but if I'm giving out let's say a magnet calendar or something like that, which is great to do when you're door knocking because you're giving them something of value, and now they're more prone to say, "You want to keep in touch? Can I see some events that are coming up by your email?" And you get their email. But it's.
I've seen plenty of my magnets on houses for sale that I'm showing buyers. Like, I've sent out a lot of magnets, and I will be out looking at a house with the buyer. I'm like, that's me on their fridge, and that's somebody else's sign out in the yard. It's good. I like seeing myself there, but it's like, dang it, I did not fall. I took one of the steps, but there was some steps that I clearly did not take to win the business. Offer a gift, yeah, like, I don't know. It's kind of.
I have water and treats or whatever, but I also have like $100 Ashley gift card.
Oh, fun.
If they put their name, email, and phone down, then they get in on the drawing. If they don't want to put it down, they don't get in on it.
That's cool.
It's like the concept of put your business card in for a free meal at the restaurant.
Right.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Yeah.
Like, say for new agents who didn't have much money to pay for rates or whatever, is just saying like, hey, I need you to sign in on this list in case, someone walked through here.
Yeah, you could stand there and just ask them, hey, please sign in here. Maybe like write a bogus name in the first couple of lines, just so the people like think that everyone else is signing in. I'll sign in too. Because nobody wants to be the first person to like sign in on the sign-in sheet. So just write a name in there. I don't think it's deceptive, but go live at an open house. I'd probably get the homeowner's permission, like, hey, can I go live? Like, I sometimes see people going live or posting videos in random houses for sale that they do not represent the seller on. I think that's weird. Don't do that. But get their permission to be going live inside somebody's house for sure. What's another main benefit of open houses that we haven't talked about? Is always the people coming through the front door on Saturday? What are some other benefits?
Well, I get a lot of neighbors that come by. They want to see what's going on.
Could do a neighbors only open house?
What you sometimes will do is we'll put out a card saying there's going to be an open house on this date. The first 30 minutes, we've got it reserved for neighbors.
Mhm.
And again, what you're trying to do is they know people that may want to move to that area, or they also start to figure out if they're going to sell, what do you do with the property?
Sure. They're checking you out. Like, is this person legit? Do they know how to put a good package together of a house? So when preparing for an open house, I think it's always a mistake to not door knock the area prior to the open house. You're probably going to meet more people knocking the doors and inviting them personally to the open house that don't already have an agent than you're going to meet at the open house. Does that make sense? So if you're going to do it, like, do it all the way and go knock the doors beforehand and invite the neighbors to the open house. Meet more people. The majority of the people you're meeting in open house have a committed agent. True or no? I've only done one open house. I don't know.
Several majority had an agent, but I've done a few that
Do you ask them to specify on the sheet whether or not they have an agent?
Yeah.
Why?
But if there are people that don't I want them to be able to ask questions to me. Also, kind of
Do they ever say yes when the answer is actually no? Like, do you have an agent? Yeah, it's just, yeah.
So
It's a
I
smoke
used to
screen.
have a sign-up sheet, phone number, email address, agent yes or no, and agents. Quit doing the sign-up sheets. Now I have a notebook, and you come into the house, I greet you, I ask you to put your name and stuff on the information. While I'm talking to you, I just say, no, you put any offers on any other houses. If they say, no, I don't have an agent, they're not thinking, they say, yeah, I'm my agent, we put a couple. Yeah, no, I don't have it out. Oh, okay. And I just make note on I have one page for each person to sign in. Just no or any other information that I feel like talking to.
And if they do have an agent and you have a good conversation with the buyer, call the agent, say, hey, introduce yourself. This buyer was really interested. They're going to appreciate that and they're going to remember that. And it's just building good relationships.
Well, I've done surveys too. I asked them to kind of rate the house, what they think of the house, the pricing and stuff like that, just to give an impression so we get feedback. One to the seller, but at the same time, it's getting their name and email address. Like combine that with a date for a free $25 gift card or I had an agent, that I saw in California, they do $1.5 million homes. And, not only was the home stage, it was just pristine, and he gave away these little thank you. Packages here.
Yeah.
Nice color brochure that was in there on the property and stuff like that. But if you think about it, he's selling himself.
Yeah.
Not just the property, he was selling, this is what I do. I go the extra mile for my clients here, and that makes an impression on people.
If it's a $400,000 1950 home built in an old neighborhood of Payson, is that going to work? Yeah, it's not going to be worth the time. If it's the luxury market, absolutely. That's what those people want, and that's what they expect. All right. Next, take action and develop your plan is the next topic on the agenda. Come up with a prospecting plan. Okay, take action and develop. 80% got 90% of their business from 5 sources or less. Prospect to your strength. Does anybody have any idea of what your strengths might be when it comes to prospecting? Is it, okay, I'm an amazing salesperson and very persuasive and I'm going to crush it on the phones? Or is it, I connect with my sphere of influence on a really, really deep level. I'm their best friend after a 10-minute conversation. Like what are your strengths? And if you're telling yourself that you have any drunk monkey, let's correct that, because everybody has amazing qualities and strengths that are going to help you be a successful real estate agent. Me, I'm not a great, okay, sorry, that's a limiting belief. I want to say that. Consistency of doing things, the exact same thing for a really long period of time for me and my business has panned out. There are better sales people here in the office than me. There are better leaders here in the office than me. There are better business-minded people as well. But like I'm super, super consistent, showing up at the office every day at 9 a.m. I don't take days off. Wake up wondering, am I going to go to the office today? Do I need to go to the office today? I can't remember. It's just not even a question. You've got to treat it like a business. So for me, it will probably be consistency. Matt, what are one of your strengths? Good people skills. People connect. I imagine you connect really well with people. And after meeting you at a buyer consultation or at a door, they're like, yeah, that was a cool guy. I'd love that. I'd love him to work with us on buying a house. You've won some business over me. I'm positive. I think I can think of a couple people. I'd have to rack my brain to remember who they were. Like people that I've been chasing, and then I see they bought a house. It's here on the MLS. Matt Christensen, buyer's agent. Yeah.
Say the right things to the right person and they click with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So identify what a few of your strengths are. Maybe it's cold calling. Maybe it's open houses. Maybe it's one-on-one lunches with clients and never eating alone.
I honestly feel like that's why I didn't have as crazy of a first year as I wanted to have. Because I felt like my ADHD got the best of me and I was chasing every single thing I could think of. But it's like now I'm kind of have systems in place where calling SOI these days, calling sites these days, open houses on Fridays and Saturdays. Not about that. That was my business earlier this year.
That's great. Congratulations. %80 of agents got 90% of their business from 5 or fewer sources. The average millionaire real estate agent gets most of their business from their top 2 lead sources and 90% of their total business from their top 5 lead sources or less. Based on a recent survey, our KW research team conducted the top lead generation sources for millionaire real estate agents were referrals, sphere of influence, repeat business. Like this in my mind is the exact same thing. Like, of course, any closing is going to be in my sphere. Buying leads, yard sign conversions. Does anyone pay-per-click? Does Wild team do pay-per-click?
What is that?
Just paying Google for people to show up on your site, seeing a couple houses for free, then filling out a form, and then the contact information to chime.
I'm not sure if we're still doing that or not. I know
Okay.
we did. But like when I was on Becca's team, we just kind of saw a lot of people were wasting our money with like contractors calling us, hey,
Yeah.
we are preferred or this and that, and it costs money each call. I don't.
So just get your lead sources dialed in, try some different things. Don't chase too many shiny objects and just really get honed in on, all right, what is best for me? My advice is stick to SOI and supplement that by speaking with people you don't already know through circle prospecting for sell by owners, expireds, and door knocking. Action and develop your plan. Prioritize your lead generation efforts. So kind of like just make a list, prioritize them, focus in on your top ones. All right, activity. Let's develop a prospecting plan. Do you guys have page 14 in your participant guide? Do we want to do a little, take a little action here? Or are we just going to talk about taking action? Caden's got his.
Go.
What you got on there?
Actually, I don't have page 14.
Oh, really?
Where is this?
I don't know. Is it the first class or?
11 and it stops. Goes to- One, two,
No. It says participants to turn to page 14 in their participant guide. Doesn't look like we have a guide, so maybe we'll just pass by. Well, we're going to be done before 1 o'clock, but let's just chat. Like, what questions do you have? What comes to mind? Let's get off the script here and maybe just kind of chat like real world applications of what could we or should we be doing to lead generate that's going to be a benefit to your business. What's on your mind?
I guess the same where you're at now. What was kind of your day-to-day first starting?
I was really disciplined, actually. I was at an office where we had a culture of like showing up early. You wear a shirt and tie. We role played together at 8:30 a.m. from 8:30 to 9. We would do affirmations, and then from 9 to 11, we're on the phone. That kind of fizzled out, and So I was kind of on my own to do things. I would literally show up. I wanted to be the, expired listings were my thing. Like that's what I was going after. That was my number one on that list. I wanted to be calling them. I wanted to be the first one calling them. So I needed to be on the phones at 8 a.m.
Expired every day.
Yeah, every day, especially on Monday, because on a Monday there's 3 days of expireds. Because nobody's calling on Saturday, nobody's calling on Sunday. So if you're calling expireds on a Monday, you're calling Saturday, Sunday, and Monday's expireds. No, I've done one open house ever. So yeah, I would get to the office at 7:30. I would literally do affirmations by myself and role play by myself. So I would be ready to hit the phones at 8 a.m. And I got a lot of listings out.
You have like a goal you were trying to set every day. I'm gonna get this many contacts or appointments.
Probably.
Or
I don't remember specifically what it was. But for a long time, like things did not click for me, Tristan. Like I was really late bloomer when it came to real estate. Because salesmanship and like leadership did not come naturally to me at that time. I got my first listing was my dead grandfather's house that my mother and her siblings took pity on me and allowed me to list. The market was still red hot in the summer of 2007, so it sold. In August of 2007, the market tanked. So I had two sales, one my grandpa's house and like a guy that I was in like Deacon's Quorum with. Like he's like, "Oh, you're a realtor? Sell my house." So just like super fortunate things where people, you know, chose to work with me. And then the market turned. I had very little skills, no database, and I had absolutely nothing going on. So I had to go out and I knocked doors with not real estate doors, but like sold door to door with Apex, Vivint now. And that was the summer of 2008. Got in with a good group of guys that helped learn, elevated my skills in salesmanship. And so when I got back in the late summer of 2008, I had some money in the bank now, which I had literally nothing before going out. So money that I had in the bank funded the real estate learning curve over the next year or so of time. But so when I got back from that, I was super disciplined. In the beginning, a guy in my office, he's, you know, I was out in the cubicles, he was in his office. He says, "Dan, I see you making a ton of calls and I see you actually setting appointments. I don't see you taking any listings yet. Is that what I'm seeing?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's exactly what's going on." He said, "Let's do this. You set the appointments. I will go on the appointments with you, take you under my wing, and I will teach you how to do this." So that sounded pretty good to me. We'd split it 50-50. I'd set him up, he'd knock him down. I did all the, you know, once the listing was taken, he hardly answered his phone. He was just there at the appointment to get them to sign on the dotted line. And he was amazing at it. And I learned a ton from that guy. So that was still at the other company. They closed the doors. Like the real estate world was in turmoil at this point in time. All the brokerages were closing down. They said, "Come work out of Midvale." I'm like, "I live in Spanish Fork. I'm not going to Midvale." So then I came here and kind of continued on like this path of some good habits and good mentors who had like helped me learn how to take a listing and like to be a realtor. So without having that guy take me under his wing, I probably would have been, you know, doing whatever, something else. So that was absolutely critical. You've got to have good mentors in real estate. Even when the market's red hot, there's 3,300 agents who belong to UCAR right now. There's probably 1,800 things in the state of Utah, and there's 18,000 realtors. 18,000 realtors in Utah.
23,000 real estate.
So is that like something along those lines?
Like 15% of the agents in Utah are making 90% of it.
As of today, right now, there's 1,709 homes. Like the lowest we've seen in the
Oh
market
yeah,
since we've been in.
yeah.
There was nothing in Utah County last year.
Probably. Yeah, it used to be like I seen 8,000 active listings at once, and like far fewer realtors.
There's still a lot of them that are selling. That they're not being active, they're not saying active for very long, like they're just. Yeah, there's some that.
Yeah, the total number of homes sold in the U.S. last year was at or near an all-time high. Like a lot of, it's like Matt said, they're on the market for 2 days and they have 10 offers. There was a little window of time about 2 months ago, in my opinion, where like it cracked open a little bit. I had a buyer, we negotiated $15,000 off the price. We got $5,000 the seller paid concessions. I'm like, wow, where did this come from? This has not happened. But that opportunity, like that window slammed shut in the last 30 days. And we're right back to where we were last spring with is this cutting out?
A little bit. I think it's when you walk close.
Oh, okay. So yeah, taking opportunities to just keep your ears to the ground of opportunities that are not listed for sale. Like Tristan was saying, a lot of deals, you can make a lot of people by finding them a house that's before it hits the market. Although in my opinion, a seller would be insane to sell their house to somebody, the one and only person who knows it's available, because you're missing out on these bidding wars of 10, 20, even $100,000 over the asking price with appraisal guarantees and those type of things. Ahas, let's ahas maybe, and if you didn't have any ahas, that's my bad, but any ahas today? What, anything click in your mind or something you hadn't thought of before? Caden, give us an aha.
Well, I think just like saying, just really focusing in on 4 sources to find leads, like whatever will be best for you. Because something that's going to be best for me is going to be different for online or something like that. So I think that's what I want to focus on, just like finding those and then sticking to them.
Sure, absolutely. Mariah, what's on your mind? What any ahas or light bulbs going off today?
I liked how often like being consistent with switching, like not just being all over the place, but if you stay consistent and it'll pay off. People have to top of their mind.
Yeah. Are realtors known to be consistent in type of individuals, generally speaking? The top realtors are. That's what separates like the haves from the have-nots in many cases, is just the ability to just show up on a consistent basis, do the same things over and over again. I think of Sue Ann Hoffman. Where is she on this wall? Like here. Oh, and she was at team meeting a couple weeks ago. She doesn't show up a whole lot around here, these parts. She's like a legend in Utah County real estate. She's been doing this for 30 years. She is still getting on the phone and just pounding away on a daily basis, making calls and just digging into, I don't know what it is that she calls, but anytime, the more calls I make, like the more times I hear, yeah, we're working with Sue Ann Hoffman. Just super, super consistent for an extremely long period of time. And she's probably tremendously wealthy because of it. And that's one of the reasons.
I always overthink things, and so it's like good to just hear you say like stay disciplined and kind of need to have your goals planned out.
If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. No, nobody don't. That's a bold law. You guys know the bold laws?
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay. Okay. Track down the bold laws. If it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. Like bold laws are not just like something I learned here once. Like I have it on my my wallpaper on my phone. Like I share it with my kids. I go over it with my team all the time. Like how are these bold laws like showing up in our businesses? And so I guess that bold law that you're mentioning would be if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. If you're not time blocking to make these things happen, the odds of them actually panning out in reality, like it's just not going to happen at the level that you need it to happen at.
Agents in this office is they all talk about, they have their calendar set, they do that, as soon as they're done, leave for the day as long as.
Absolutely. Yeah. Matt.
I just had a question about numbers next. Trying to think of priorities, but then I think it was not the top question.
I don't know. I was hoping the answer might be down here in the notes.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, I don't know, Matt.
This is a good list, though. It's a really good list. And if you guys don't have it, break these things down because these are good activities.
Client parties, you got to treat your people. Matt, you know a lot of realtors. When you think of client parties and people showering their people, who do you think of? Who's the first person that comes to mind?
Sharing them with like, yes.
Just value.
Valuable. Which is red science. We did a lot of really cool events. So that's what I think.
Red Sign team knocks it out on events. I'm thinking also of another former office mate of ours, Jimmy Rex. The dude just goes crazy, like just showering his people with value in a variety of ways and just making them VIPs and just expecting nothing in return, just adding value to people in any way he possibly can.
One thing I thought was very impressive for it, the way Becca Summer jumped through is like, it's just her. They run like monthly events, and that's all her business is for. So much.
Do an Easter egg hunt. Start small. Do a movie. Maybe don't rent out a full theater, but next time you want to go to a movie, 10 movie tickets and have a guy's night out or girls' night out. Just think out of the box ways to like spend time with your people, add value to them. Okay. Anything else, Alexi? Any ahas? Mm-hmm. That's right.
Like you always hear like 90% of agents or something that don't make it. Like I've seen people who signed on with me like didn't stay disciplined and just expected things to come. You have to find your why and drive.
Yeah, nothing's going to magically happen without a tremendous amount of blood, sweat, and tears and action taken. So, okay, well, I think that's pretty much the end of the material, guys. Thank you for being here. Hopefully, this was of value to you, and let's take some action and get some stuff done. My office is right up here. If you ever need anything, like in this direction on the top floor. So, thanks, guys.